Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving deep into a really fascinating new book. It challenges some fundamental assumptions about what church really means.
Hmm.
You shared some excellent source material with us on Chris R. Villasis's Koinos, Faith Without Walls. And our mission, really, for this deep dive is to explore its powerful argument, this idea of rediscovering the foundational DNA of early church community.
Right, that core essence.
Exactly. And the truly groundbreaking insight here, I think, is this radical reframing. Aquinas basically says, what if church is less about a place you go
Yeah.
and more about a people you become? If that's true, then our whole framework for community, participation, even spiritual growth, well, it needs to shift.
Fundamentally shift.
Yeah.
So what's the core idea the book builds on to make that case?
Well, it really argues for rediscovering that DNA, as you said, of the early church community, especially in today's often fragmented Christian landscape.
Fragmented, yeah.
And it all hinges on understanding that ancient Greek word, koinos. It literally means common, shared, or belonging to all. Okay, common or shared.
Right. It's actually the root of the more familiar word koinonia, which speaks of fellowship, mutual participation.
Yeah.
Life lived in common.
Right, in common.
And that deep, shared experience, Koinos argues, is the true essence of church. Not the building, not just the Sunday service, but that shared life.
Okay, so if koinos is about this shared life, how does the book suggest this challenges the way many, maybe most, modern churches operate today? What's the immediate implication?
Well, a key point is how Koinos directly challenges what it calls the performance mentality that, well, it often characterizes modern institutional churches.
Performance mentality.
Yeah.
Right, like watching a show.
Exactly. The book's core revelation, really, is that true church isn't confined to buildings or events. It's embodied in transparent communal living.
Embodied, okay.
Yeah. It draws this crucial distinction between gathering as a community versus simply being, a mere congregation. Attendees versus participants.
Ah, that's a big difference.
It is. It's about substance over structure, presence over platform. It kind of asks us to confront, are we just watching church, or are we actively being the church?
That's a powerful distinction. So we've talked about what Koinos proposes as the ideal, this shared embodied life. But what's the problem it's actually trying to solve? The book points to a crisis at the center of the modern church. What exactly is that crisis? How does it describe this quieter unraveling?
Yeah, it's interesting because, despite all our amazing advancements like HD streaming, really professional worship teams, multi-site campuses.
Polish stuff.
Right, all the stuff that looks impressive. The book says there's this quiet, almost unsettling unraveling happening just beneath the surface.
Okay.
People are showing up, maybe checking a box, but not truly being known, Participation is dwindling while the performance side escalates.
So it looks good on the outside.
Exactly. There's this mistaken visibility for vitality. For many people, the book observes, church often feels less like family and more like a production.
That idea of mistaken visibility for vitality, that really resonates. I think we've all seen communities, and maybe even part of them, that look vibrant outwardly, but people inside feel, disconnected.
Deeply disconnected.
So how does the book connect this diagnosis to broader societal trends? And what have we potentially been measuring incorrectly then?
Exactly. And the analysis connects this to broader sociological insights.
Yeah.
It suggests that modern church metrics have, perhaps unintentionally, cultivated a culture of spiritual spectatorship.
Spectatorship. Yeah.
We often celebrate attendance, giving, the size of the building, the easily quantifiable things. But maybe we're celebrating those over genuine maturity, mutual care, and actually multiplying faith, not just attendees.
It's like measuring a family's health by how often they sit quietly in the same room.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The book references studies like Robert Putnam's Bowling Alone and Christian Smith's work on moralistic therapeutic deism. And they underscore this critical truth. Transformation is relational, deeply relational, not merely informational. And belonging, that sense of being known and accepted, it actually often precedes belief and behavior change, not the other way around.
So relationship first.
Yes, which really pushes us to ask, what if we've been measuring the wrong things all along, focusing on the metrics instead of the mission?
It sounds like what the book is really advocating for is a complete reevaluation, almost a return to basics. Does it propose we sort of rewind to the New Testament era for a blueprint?
Precisely. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The book makes a compelling case for returning to those New Testament roots.
Okay.
It paints this vivid picture of the early church. Faith lived out in kitchens and courtyards. you know, over bread and brokenness through shared mission and mutual care. Very grounded.
Not in giant auditoriums.
No. And it draws a powerful contrast with today. It says, they had no stages, but they had stories. They had no budgets, but they had boldness. No dedicated buildings, maybe, but a blazing purpose.
Wow. Stories, boldness, purpose.
Yeah. And the nature of early believers was deeply participatory. They didn't just come to consume a service. They came to contribute. Like that passage in 1 Corinthians 14 describes.
Yeah.
One brought a hymn, another brought a teaching, someone else shared a revelation. Everyone involved.
That vision of the early church, it sounds incredibly inspiring almost. Well, maybe idyllic. But how do we move from that theory to practice in today's really complex world? Does Koinos provide a roadmap? Or is it more theoretical?
Oh, it absolutely offers a roadmap.
Yeah.
Koinos isn't just theory, not at all. It provides tangible applications and practical rhythms for today.
Practical rhythm.
Yeah, and the book uniquely blends rigorous theological and historical analysis, like digging into Acts 2.47 and Ephesians 4 with real-world case studies, and from really diverse contexts, too.
Like what kind of context?
Everything from, say, underground house churches in China to network microchurch movements right here in the West. It shows it working in different places.
Okay, so it's adaptable.
Very. And it's incredibly practical. It provides what it calls actionable toolkits. Think reflective worksheets, checklists, like an actual Koinos church checklist.
Checklist. Interesting.
Yeah, like how are we doing on shared life? How are we doing on mutual care? Also, flowcharts for conflict resolution, which is vital, and even reproducible multiplication playbooks.
Wow, playbook. So it's very hands-on. Imagine a checklist helping you audit your community for genuine connection, not just counting heads.
Exactly. The book gives you the actual framework for doing that. It's meant to be used.
That's fascinating. Often these discussions can stay pretty high level. Can you elaborate maybe on some of the core features or models it champions within those practical toolkits? What makes the Koinos approach distinct?
Well, one aspect that really stands out is its relational focus over location. It redefines church around proximity and participation.
Proximity and participation.
Yeah, which invites immense creativity for gathering, maybe in cafes, parks, online communities, rather than being bound solely to a specific building at a specific time.
So decoupling church from just the Sunday morning building?
Precisely. Another key feature is the shared leadership model. This distributes ministry so that, ideally, every member is a minister.
Empowering everyone.
Right. And it even provides things like peer evaluation grids and rotating facilitation templates to make that practical.
Okay.
And finally, it offers this vision for multiplication without megachurch, where true growth isn't measured in seating capacity.
Right, the typical metric.
But in sending capacity. It champions organic multiplication through faithful lives and empowered leaders being sent out, not just gathered in.
Sending capacity. I like that. So let's bring this home. What does this all mean for you, the listener? If someone picks up Koinos, what are the practical benefits they can expect? And who exactly is this book written for? Who would get the most out of it?
Well, the benefits of reading Koinos, I think, are quite profound. It encourages deep personal growth, first off, helping you reflect on your own spiritual community and maybe equipping you to break that cycle of just consumer-style attendance.
Moving from consumer to contributor.
Exactly. It also provides real intellectual insight into why these microchurch models resonate so deeply, especially in postmodern culture. And as we said, it offers practical, step-by-step guidance for launching and sustaining these kinds of communities.
So it's both thought-provoking and practical.
Yes. And the book really speaks to a wide audience.
Yeah.
Pastors and church planters looking for fresh paradigms, definitely. Small group leaders needing tools to deepen relational life. But also maybe millennials and Gen Z Christians who are disillusioned with institutional religion but still hungry for genuine community.
That's a big group.
It is.
Yeah.
And lay people just longing to take more ownership of church life. And of course, missional innovators looking for grassroots models that work.
It sounds like a significant challenge to the status quo, but also, a deeply hopeful vision, too. Why is this message particularly resonant right now, do you think, in our current moment?
Yeah, that begs the question about its profound relevance, doesn't it? Especially in what people call a postmodern, post-Christendom age.
Right.
The book asserts that the church's greatest credibility, it won't be sustained by buildings or budgets moving forward, but rather by the credibility of its community itself.
The community is the message, in a way.
In a big way, yeah. And younger generations particularly seem to be longing for authenticity over authority. They want presence over polish, real community over just religious activity.
Show more substance.
Exactly. And this vision powerfully reiterates that the future of the church, well, it'll likely be built around tables, not stages, led by servants, not superstars, and counted by impact, not just attendance figures.
Built around tables, not stages. That's a powerful image. So this deep dive into Koinos, Faith Without Walls, really calls us to reimagine church as this vibrant, participatory community, one that thrives beyond physical walls, beyond metaphorical boundaries, too.
It really does. And maybe a final thought to consider is this. The future of the church likely won't be built primarily with bricks and mortar. It will be formed at tables, it will be multiplied through relationships, and it will be lived out in the everyday stories of people. People just like you listening right now.
That's a great place to leave it. As you go about your week, we really encourage you to reflect on your own spiritual community. What does being the church look like in your daily life? How might these insights from Koinos inspire you maybe to cultivate more authentic relationships and active participation right where you are? Something to think about.